What happens if you don't have a spouse, children, or reliable children, or nearby family to help you as you age? Even with all the right legal documents, you still need one thing most people forget. That's the right people. Welcome to another episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast, where we want to empower and educate women to live your retirement on your terms. I'm your host, Eric Blake, practicing retirement planner with over 25 years of experience, founder of Blake Wealth Management, and I would not be the man I am today without the women in my life. Joining me today is going to be Kathy McNair, elder law attorney and founder of Solo Allies. We're going to be diving into what it really means to plan for the future as a solo ager and why legal documents alone may not be enough without the right people in place. For all the links and resources shared in this episode, you can visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com. And don't forget, if you have a question, a topic idea, or even a specific retirement challenge you'd like to cover in an upcoming episode, you can visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com/ask Eric. Kathy, welcome to the Simply Retirement Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know we've had this on the calendar for a little while. I'm glad we got a chance to connect. I think this is going to be really valuable. And if you don't mind, I would love for you to just share your story. What inspired you to dedicate your career to helping seniors and especially solo agers plan well for the future?
Sure. So I've been a lawyer for over 25 years. And when I first started out as a young lawyer, judges would often appoint me on cases for people who really didn't have the plans in place they needed, or they didn't have the people they needed to help them. And they were in crisis. They were often in the hospital when I would meet them for the first time. I was appointed by the judge to be their guardian or their conservator, which means that I was in charge of helping them figure out their life, where they would live, what kind of care they would receive, and getting everything in order because they were at a spot in their life where they couldn't take care of it for themselves, and they didn't have a family member who could step in and do that. So that's really how I got started. And ever since, I've been helping people plan so that they can get ahead of that, so they don't find themselves in a crisis with a stranger by their bedside who they've never met, or a stranger going into their house and trying to figure out what they own or what their financial accounts are. And I have a special passion for seniors who don't really have family that they can count on to be there for them. I like to call them solo seniors. So that's a big part of my career. I've also done a lot of Medicaid planning and long-term care planning, estate planning, and everything that comes with that. So
perfect. Well, and I would love to have your definition of what a solo senior is, a solo ager. That's a term that's become a lot more popular recently over the last probably handful of years or so. But if you wouldn't mind, just because I think it does confuse people as to exactly what an elder law attorney is, would you mind just giving just a basic explanation of the difference between an estate planning attorney and an elder law attorney, where some of that there might be some crossover, but that also where an elder law attorney might be doing some different things?
Absolutely. So estate planning attorneys are really good at helping you put together estate planning documents, which would be like a will, a power of attorney, a healthcare proxy, a trust. Elder law attorneys take that to another level, where they're also really good about helping you plan for long-term care needs or navigate kind of difficult times. So, there is a lot of crossover. I consider myself, I'm an elder law attorney and an estate planning attorney, but there are definitely attorneys out there who are just estate planning attorneys. And if you are worried about the high cost of long-term care, you need somebody who's an elder law attorney. Like if you're worried about losing your assets or your home, if you need a nursing home, that would be an elder law attorney. If you are dealing with any issues of a loved one who might have Alzheimer's or dementia and they can't take care of themselves, and maybe they're making really poor decisions and they didn't have the legal documents you need an elder law attorney. So many elder law attorneys are estate planning attorneys, but not all estate planning attorneys are elder law attorneys.
So would you consider that kind of a specialty skill, or is just, okay, this is an above and beyond type
Yeah,
service? Okay.
I would say it's a specialty. There's an organization called the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, and they're all across the country, and they are people who are elder law attorneys, often estate planning attorneys at the same time.
Well, so let's get into the definition. I'd love to have you define what you call, we got the solo ager term, and there may be some listeners that aren't sure exactly what that means. I like your term solo senior as well. Just kind of talk about what that means and how would you define that term?
Absolutely. So I think that's really anybody who is over even the age of 55 who is looking ahead and thinking, wait a minute, if something happens to me, I don't really know. I don't really have a close family member or somebody that I can just think of off the top of my head who's going to be able to show up for me and step in and help me out if I need help paying my bills, taking care of things, making healthcare decisions. I don't really have a go-to person. So that could be somebody who was single. That could be somebody who's even married, but their spouse might be sick or have dementia or Alzheimer's. It could be somebody with kids, but for whatever reason, they're just know that their kids aren't going to be the right choice of person to help them. And so there's so many people that fall into that category. And for the solo seniors, it needs to be more than just thinking about, okay, I'm going to draft these estate planning documents and put them in a drawer and I'm all set. What they really need to do is they need to make sure that they've really thought carefully about the people that they're putting in each role, and also staying in touch with those people so that it's not just, oh, I put down my friend who lives 5 states away and I'm sure she'll show up if she needs me. But that would be a lot to take on. So the more organized, the more prepared, and the more thoughtful that a solo senior can be, the more likely they are to have their wishes honored, and they can just have peace of mind. They can go to sleep at night and feel like, okay, I have a plan. If God forbid I have some kind of healthcare crisis tomorrow, I know that I have all the documents in place and all the people in place who are going to step in and support me.
Well, and I think that's a perfect lead into a phrase that one of your core messages, and I want to make sure we get it out there because number one, I want to steal it. But one of your core messages being that planning plus people equals peace of mind. And I know you've already kind of talked through that a little bit already, but just kind of tie the pieces together, expand on that, what you mean by that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just, it's so easy to have the sense of, oh, I'm all set. I did those documents like 5 years ago and they're fine. But if you don't actually really think about the people and whether they're the right people to be in that role, you could find yourself in a terrible spot. Like, just for example, I have a case that I've been involved in where a woman appointed her friend to be her power of attorney. And then this woman became sick and really needed her friend's help. She never told her friend that she put her in that position. So it was a complete surprise to the friend. And when the friend had to step in and start taking over and paying the bills and accessing the bank accounts, she was completely overwhelmed. She was unprepared. She didn't know even what this woman really had. And she called me up asking for help, basically saying, I don't even want this job. I didn't ask for it. I didn't know I had it. It's like the hot potato you never even wanted, and it just gets tossed in your
That's a
lap.
good term. I like that. Yeah.
So just to be really thoughtful about that and to think, especially in the role of power of attorney, and maybe it's just important for me to just quickly say what that person does.
Yeah, I think that would be great because that is in the work we do. We as in financial planning, specifically retirement planning, a lot of women in the situations you're talking about, there is a lot of confusion about what the power of attorney is. And it's, when you say, hey, okay, got to get your estate plan done. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's almost like you're just checking boxes. Okay, well, yeah, okay, got my will done. I checked off that box. I got my power of attorney done. So I've checked that. But there's much more to it. And I think that would be great just to talk about some of the misunderstandings around that role and when you pick the wrong person or if you don't pick anybody at all.
Absolutely. So the power of attorney is a legal document where you choose somebody to step in and help you with your financial affairs if you can't take care of things. So if you ever have a crisis and you can't pay your bills, you can't file your taxes, and you can't stay on top of all the things that we have to stay on top of in life, this person is going to be able to step in and take that over. But the process of being able to step in and take that over really involves a lot. The power of attorney is a legal document that you sign and you choose this person. But the actual job of being the power of attorney involves so much, because even like as a financial advisor, if somebody had their accounts with you and I was the power of attorney for somebody, I first have to show you the legal document and you have to acknowledge that I have the authority to act on somebody else's behalf, especially today when we live in a world full of scams and everything. So, I mean, just dealing with the bank and having the bank recognize that you have the authority to write checks and pay bills for somebody, that's a process. You don't just call up the bank and get access right away to somebody's account. You have to actually usually go to the bank with the document, meet the customer service person, show them your license. Usually it has to go through their legal department in some way. Like it's a job to put on somebody. And especially if you're somebody who has like multiple financial accounts or,
Right.
multiple pieces of real estate. And also, I would say the other job that's really big is taking care of somebody's house. If you think about just what it takes to manage and operate your own house, you have to make sure that the landscaping gets done. And if it snows, the sidewalk gets shoveled and the bills get paid and the taxes get paid and all of that. And if you are serving as the power of attorney for somebody and they need your help, you constantly have to think about that house and whether, everything's safe and secure. And if they're not coming home for a while, sometimes you need to get vacant property insurance on that house, because the homeowner's insurance policy usually has a clause in it that if the house is vacant for more than a certain period of time, the insurance no longer is valid. So there's a lot of pitfalls that most people don't even realize. So you have to think carefully. And if you don't have a really trusted family member, a really trusted friend who could take on all of that, I mean, honestly, it would be a burden to most people to take this on, then you really should think about hiring a professional. Because I know most people, they don't want to be a burden to somebody else. And if they have the resources to hire a professional, they might be better off doing that.
Well, can you expand on that a little bit? Because I think that is one of the things, and what I think when people hear all the things you're talking about, it's easy to get overwhelmed and think, well, let me put that on the back burner. I'll think about that later. But again, if you don't do it now, it may never get done. And now you're even in a worse situation if the time comes and you don't have that person. But when you talk about not having that close family member, a child, an adult child, or a spouse, whatever it might be, and you think about professional help, what does that look like? Can you kind of walk through that process of hiring somebody on a professional level to help you with that?
It can be hard to figure out what kind of professionals even will take on this responsibility. So I have a website. It's called soloallies.com. And that website, the whole reason why I started it is because I thought, wow, there really are not very good resources for people out there who don't know where to find them. So on the website, you'll definitely find resources. A lot of times attorneys are willing to serve as power of attorney. They can be a good choice because, I mean, the biggest factor with who you choose to be your power of attorney is a trust factor. And in the wrong hands, a power of attorney is a license to steal from someone. It is, because you're giving them a lot of authority. And I try to be creative in my office about creating a system of checks and balances and really building a team for a client, because I don't really want to be in a position where there's just one person with all the authority and no oversight. It's great if we can just, you might have a friend who you don't want to burden, but that friend could have some role, even if that role is just asking the professional who's serving as the power of attorney to show them the accounts, or saying they have the authority to request an accounting every year and just see what's going on so they can just be a second set of eyes. I think that's important to just protect everybody. And I know when I'm serving as a fiduciary, a power of attorney for somebody, I'm always open to that because it makes me feel better too. Like, okay, I'm happy to show your friend what's been going on. And if they have any questions, they can ask me. Ideally, while someone's capable of taking care of things themselves, they take care of it. But then there's sometimes this gray area where maybe somebody is getting older and they have dementia and they're just starting to realize that it's too much for them. And that's really when it would be helpful if you had an existing relationship with somebody who you could trust and you do like a slow handoff of the responsibilities that you're going to be giving them. And that way you get to kind of almost train them like, okay, here's everything I have. This is how I do it. And maybe there's a way to streamline some of it and make it easier for everybody. But, that's the ideal situation. But sometimes life is unpredictable and we don't get the slow handoff. We just get a bam, like,
Right.
I could do it yesterday, but I'm not going to be able to do it again.
And I think hopefully that's a key takeaway is the advanced planning is such a critical component of nobody likes to talk about it, nobody likes to think about it, but the farther in advance you can do it and get it taken care of, the better off you're going to be, the care you're going to receive, but the better off the individual or the professional that you've chosen to help you navigate that is, the better off they're going to be as well.
Exactly. So the categories of professionals that could serve in these roles would be attorneys. There's a whole group of people called daily money managers, and they might be a good resource. There's certain states where they have a fiduciary, like a state supervised almost fiduciary licensing.
Okay.
I believe it's California, Oregon, and Arizona. I think those are the three states. I wish that would go nationwide, that there would be a state licensed designation for a fiduciary. And I'd love to see that happen, but right, who knows? We'll see.
Well, let's talk about the Aging Allies Club. I love this concept because it's not just about documents; it's about connection as well. What does that experience look like for participants?
So this is an idea that I have that's really just kind of in the beginning stages. So what I'm trying to do is identify if there are any seniors out there who are interested in planning, but are also feeling like they'd like a little bit more connection in their life. The concept is to bring together a small group of solo agers, maybe between like 5 and 10 solo agers, and go through a series of important topics that are important to them, like 8 to 10 important topics that we would cover over like a 4-month period. And there's a lawyer that's involved to help them make sure that they have their legal documents in place at the end, and also a social worker involved to kind of facilitate the whole thing. And at the end of it all, to help them form connections, prepare, get organized, have the documents they need, and then, hopefully build some sense of community. My ideal situation would be to have these groups all over, and then maybe to have like more regional events or something where they could all get together. I just think that loneliness is like a major issue for a lot of people, and they don't know how to connect with others. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are perfectly happy being alone, and that's good too. And that's fine. And not everybody has to be part of the group but if people are interested in forming groups, I'm at least trying to just like gauge the interest right now. It's something I'd love to roll out. It's very in the very beginning stages, and I just want to see if people are interested.
And I think there definitely would be. I think you and I have a mutual connection on LinkedIn, or you guys may have even connected further. Carol Maroc,
Absolutely.
who's actually here in the Dallas area where we're at. And I think she asked you, I think she may have had you participate in one of the groups she's doing. I think she's doing some great work because of that exact reason that you're talking about, is that connection and having feeling like there's other people out there that are going through the similar strategy or similar struggles.
And Carol has a fantastic course. She has a fantastic
Yes.
course to help solo agers prepare and think about all the important things they need to think about. She absolutely does. And she's doing great work. And I know she's got some projects coming up and really exciting stuff. So we've talked a few times and I've really enjoyed all of our conversations. And definitely she's somebody that hope to collaborate with.
Absolutely, yeah, she's great. She, like I said, she's in the Dallas area. We're a little bit north of her in McKinney, but we've done some collaboration on. She came to our International Women's Day event, and we've done some collaborative stuff as well. So she's doing some amazing work. So here's what I would like to get your input on. If you just said, okay, what advice could I give someone who's listening and thinking, okay, this might be me. She might be talking to me about the things I need to get done. What can they do to get started now? What would be maybe the first step or two that they could take?
So I'd say the first step is if you don't have legal documents in place, you should start. I think you should start by talking to an elder law attorney. And if the reason why you don't have the legal documents in place is because you didn't know who to put down in the roles, and that's why you never did it, just still go start with the elder law attorney. Okay. And if you don't have the people to appoint, check out soloallies.com. I've got a lot of great resources on that website, that can give you ideas. But I also think that as an elder law attorney, and it's happened to me so many times where I've had just like a wonderful client in my office, and I can tell they're hesitating to tell me, but they eventually just say, I don't have anybody to put down and I don't know what to do. And that's my job as an elder law attorney, to sit with them and say, okay, we're going to figure this out. Here's some ideas in my office. I do have a program that's the Aging Allies program, where I do serve in these roles for a number of clients, but I can also only do it for so many people. I'm only one person. I'm not going to take on too many people. I want to do a good job for them. But I also, I have like a network of people that I know, and I can say, all right, oh, this person is somebody I could recommend. Why don't you talk to them? Like any good elder law attorney should at least try to help you. And if the answer is just, gee, I'm sorry, I don't know anybody, go to Solo Allies. Email me. Let me know. I want to try to connect you with somebody who can help you. Okay.
Well, that's perfect. That's what I wanted to transition to next. I want to make sure that people know how to connect with you. I know one of the reasons why we had put out our recording time was because of your book. So any resources, anything like that, I want to make sure that people know how to connect with you.
I do have my book right here. So
there you go. Perfect.
So I'll give you all the resources. The book is called The Solo Senior's Guide to Thrive. It's for sale on Amazon. You can find it there. And no, absolutely. I mean, I know there's a huge need out there. There's so many people that they just struggle to identify who they can count on. And really, that's my whole goal, is to make sure that they can find people to help them, reliable people too, because I mean, we live in such a scary world full of scams and everything. And you just have to be so careful who you pick.
Right. Well, I think that the work that you're doing and being able to vet some of these people in advance, or provide just for the resources, knowing where to go to. Are there any other websites or any other resources that you would recommend?
So I know Aileen Gerhardt, and she's in the Boston area near me, and she has a website called, I believe it's navigatingsolo.com. That's also a great resource, and she's got a lot on there as well. I guess like one other thing I just don't want to forget to say is that,
no, please.
So once you have your documents and you have your people, the other step is to just every year, if you're a solo senior, you got to just think about it again. You got to look at it again and say, is this still reflecting my goals and my wishes? Are these people still people I can count on? And if you haven't talked to the person that's in your documents that you're relying on to step in, to be there, to make medical decisions for you, to take care of your finances, if you can't, to handle your estate at the end of your life, check in with them. Just make sure, are you still up for this job? I have you down in my as my healthcare proxy, my power of attorney, my trustee, my executor of my estate.
Right.
Is this still something you are up for doing? And maybe you think, oh, well, I just asked them last year and they said yes, but I'd ask them every year.
Well, I think one of the things, and just I would love to get at some point, maybe you and I can connect on this. One of the things we're doing in our practice is creating, I would call it basically kind of like a flow chart of who are the different people, what role are they filling, and then at least every couple of years, bringing that back out and say, okay, let's review this and let's see who these people are. Are they still appropriate for that role? Have you communicated your expectations of that role? Just because I think that's part of what a financial advisor or retirement planner, especially with in our practice, working with a number of women, just being there as a resource and making sure that those, again, going beyond just the checking of the boxes.
Absolutely. And then I'm sure if they're working with you, they are organized and all their assets are, what they have, and, you have it all organized. But there are some people who may not be working with a financial advisor and they don't have that organized. So the more you can organize that, get it in one place, and make sure that the people that you're counting on, that they know where to find that information. And I would also just say, you want to make sure that if there's ever an emergency, that somebody knows who to call, right? Because you could have all these documents in place, but if nobody knows where they are or whatever, there's a big problem. So I always recommend that you give a copy of your healthcare proxy to your doctor. They'll make that part of your medical record. If you ever land in a hospital, they would know right away to at least get in touch with the healthcare proxy. And the healthcare proxy should be able to get in touch with anybody else that they need to. Your whole goal is to build this support team. So you've got your financial advisor, you've got your elder law attorney, you've got your friend who's going to be your healthcare proxy. You've got your team, because if you need help, you want those people to be there to support you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. This has been awesome. If you're wondering who's going to be there to support you as you age, or if you've never really thought about your power of attorney, your estate plan beyond just the paperwork, now's the time to visit with someone like Kathy to help you navigate these important decisions. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. For all the links and resources, again, we're going to share all of Kathy's links in our in the episode summary. You can find that at the simplyretirementpodcast.com. Please don't forget to like, follow, and share the show. Until next time, please remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It's the start of a new journey.
That's it for today's episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast. We hope you found our insights and advice helpful in planning for a fulfilling retirement. Don't forget to take action on what you've learned today. Visit our website at blakewealthmanagement.com to learn more about our firm and review our Simply Retirement Roadmap process to get you on the right path to the retirement you deserve. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to helping you achieve your retirement goals. Remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It is the start of a new journey. So embrace it and make the most of it. Until next time, take care. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security, or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of Blake Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Blake Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor, Blake Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.